Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for bearing with me. As you can tell, I'm not only a novice in AI, but technology in general. So my name is Shirley. I am one of our counselors at SUNY Oswego's Counseling Services. I am also our service coordinator there as well. And so I'm happy to talk to you all about my experience working with AI and hopefully provide you with some information that might be helpful for what you do as well. I'm excited today that Patty Miller, our administrative assistant slash office manager, is here because she is the one that really pushed me to use. Well, really, I was helping her, supporting her in creating an administrative manual, and it kind of prompted me to step outside of my comfort zone to use AI to see how it could support us in that work too. Okay, so how did I become the one to help with this process? Well, I volunteered. It was a project that we were going to do over the winter. I've got some experience creating manuals, guides. I have some experience with technology, although my technology skills aren't always the best. And we did have a DSA winter symposium that I had attended, and we had learned a lot more about AI, and I wanted to put those skills to use. So what we needed, we really needed a step-by-step guide for anyone that was going to be covering our administrative secretary duties. Patty has been with our office for a very long time. She has a wealth of knowledge, and we needed to put that knowledge in some place that we all had access to in case we didn't have Patty on hand to ask, Patty, who do we call, or what do we do, or how does this work? So we wanted something in a manual form that we could all have access to. So why did we decide to use AI? We were in a time crunch. We were trying to get this done over the winter break. As you all know, it's probably very similar in your offices. You really have winter and summer breaks. Those go so fast. And so we wanted to use the most of that time. We wanted to make it as efficient as possible. So I had some knowledge in creating programs and manuals, but we wanted to take all of the knowledge that Patty had and that I had and that some of our other team members had of the office and its workings, and we wanted to make it into a streamlined package so that anyone could take a look and really understand some of the processes that Patty does. And we wanted to make sure that it was easier for us to include the information. So we actually imported a 142-page EMR manual into the system because neither Patty or I wanted to spend hours and hours reviewing that manual knowing, well, we know most of this stuff, but we wanted to make sure that we had everything that we needed in that manual in there. And I'll actually be showing you a little bit later how we actually utilized AI to help us gather the most important information from some of those longer manuals that we had. And also we just learned about AI tools and we wanted to see how it could help us. So what we created, we were able to combine an operational workflow, how-to guides, daily checklists, the responsibilities at a glance, forms, and other helpful information into a 32-page manual. We were able to complete this about a week on and off. So Patty and I worked on this a couple of days each week. And so we had a pretty comprehensive manual set up at the end of our winter break, but all in total, it probably took us, if we combined all the days, probably about a week. This probably would have taken us a lot longer had we not used some help from AI. And we were pretty proud of the work that we were able to accomplish in that time. It's still a work in progress. We're constantly updating processes. We're constantly taking a look at it and finding ways to kind of improve or streamline what we're currently doing. But at least it provides the framework. And anyone coming into the office would be able to have something to look at to say, oh, yeah, like I understand what you do or what the day's activities need to be done. So how IA helped us with this, it really allowed us to outline the key processes that Patty does in a day-to-day, gave us step-by-step instructions. It drafted general processes for us. Essentially, we added information into the AI. We use Gemini process to kind of take a look to see, okay, if we added all of this stuff, what could it potentially look like for us? And this part of the presentation, I'm really just talking about our processes. I'd like to have most of our time together actually doing it. I'm more of a hands-on person, and so I'd like to give some time, especially for those of you that have laptops. Even if you don't have a laptop, we'll actually go into the system. I'll show you what we did, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to utilize what we were able to discover and learn in your own day-to-day practice. So let's do some practice together. Some things that we found that have been most helpful is when you're using Gemini or any AI tool, you want to use specific prompts and you continue to clarify. So if I initially put into Gemini, I want a manual to help support our functioning of our college counseling center administration. It'll give me some ideas, but I need to get more specific. So that might be the start of my prompting. And then as it gives me suggestions, sometimes it'll even give me some prompts as to what I might further ask to really build what I want to build. So I'm actually going to exit out of my presentation so that I can go into Gemini. And for those of you that don't know, because I certainly didn't know, I know that we have this all of these options over here that Google provides us. Gemini is this one right here with the little star. And so as you think about the things that you do day to day, what would be like a guidebook or a checklist or a one-page sheet that you all can think of that would be helpful in your office? I figured we'll take some time and we'll make this a little bit more collaborative. So if someone can just yell out a prompt.
Need an onboarding guide for staff.
I need an onboarding guide for staff. And you notice I'm horrible with typing and spelling, but AI is great and it'll catch that for me. It'll know what I want. I'll say it's a good. So ultimate onboarding for staff, it'll give me some phases. So pre-phase, so the day before day one. Phase 2, which is day 1, welcoming orientation. Week 1, acclimations, and then it gives some phases for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So this might be a good start, but I think it'll help us if we get a little more specific. So we want an onboarding guide. What kind of what is the setting?
Say it's for a particular kind of job. So it could be a student assistant, fill up the desk.
I'm just going to add at a college. It might give us a little bit more information. Gave us a golden rule. Your job is not to know everything. It's to know how to find it or who to connect with. And it gives a little bit more specific guide. So day 1, landscape and technology. So maybe a tour, desktop 101, maybe some shadowing. Maybe some cheat sheets, so directionals, references, tech troubles. And so this is great, but maybe we want a one-page checklist. I was just thinking, sometimes it takes a moment to think. It'll tell me what's included in it, but if I click here, it'll actually give me a PDF version of it. So the orientation, login access, multi-line phone training, shadowing. And this is great. So it might not necessarily be exactly what you need for your training or your space, but at least gives you a guide as to what might it look like. And that's really what Patty and I did. We fed this information and we didn't really use a lot of the information as it was presented. We really had to go back and redefine what we needed in there. But we were able to use some of the examples it provided to say, oh, this might look really good in our guidebook. Or actually, this could be really useful. Actually, I think part of it, we were going through and I had asked for a checklist and it gave me like a checklist of like the day-to-day activities. And then we said, well, there's certain activities that Patty does in the morning versus the afternoon. Can we sort by that? And so then we were really able to see, okay, these are the morning activities that somebody would really need to do. These are the evening activities that somebody would really need to do. And we're able to put that right into the guidebook as well, which was, I think, really helpful. I don't know if it's helpful or not, but I can also, maybe I can share. I'm not going to be able to get to, I had it up, what our administrative manual looked like, but I can't get to it while I'm still sharing. I can probably just go to my drive. So one of the things you can see, there's some telltale signs of some of the AI things, like it likes to put these little like images next to the checklist. I noticed that it tends to do a lot of hyphens in it. So oftentimes I'm correcting that because that's not something I would typically use in my own writing. Um, but it kind of gave us an idea of like, okay, office setup. There were some things that we knew that we did that we forgot to prompt. And so we just added it. But then things that we had forgotten about, the AI was like, oh, is this something that you might do? And we were like, oh, yeah, this is something that we do. And so we added that. I think what's really cool is this is really just a tool. So we didn't use this as the end all be all of our manual. And actually, the initial when we fed it information, the initial manual that it gave us, it really just did not work for us. But as we kept feeding it information and as we kept tweaking it, we were able to use bits and pieces of it. And actually, what I liked most is just the idea of getting information that between me and Patty and some of our other team, we would have never thought to add to this. This continues to grow. We continue to work on it. So we had added stuff from our EMR manual. And again, we were trying to figure out ways to be as efficient as possible. So what we essentially did with our EMR system was we took that manual and we put it right into AI. We put it right into Gemini, and it gave us kind of a quick guide as to like, oh, here are some of the highlights. Some of the highlights, I'm like, we actually don't do this. We do this a different way. And so we just kind of tweaked it a little bit. But it was nice because there were some parts of it that I'm like, I didn't want to sort through all that information. I could get that information very quickly and at a glance. I'm going to go back to my presentation here. Maybe. I might have to exit some things. The sixth tab. Is there a way to tab over without having to get out of the... Actually, let me see if I can pull this down and then get to my presentation. There we go. Something that I also learned after Patty and I had done that initial manual together. I've had some further training using AI, and I've done a little bit more research. But there's also a notebook feature. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the notebook feature that's part of like the Google Suite. It's actually really cool. So I was putting our manual into Gemini. I was getting some really good information, but the notebook is actually specifically used for documents. And the really cool part about that is you put the documents in there and you can ask any question that you want, and it pulls the information right out of the document. It can only use the document for information, so you're not getting information that's outside of that document. But that was super helpful, especially as we thought about our manual, our titanium manual. We were able to, actually recently, I was able to put that manual into Notebook and then ask questions. And based off from the questions that I asked, it gave me the information that was found right in that manual. And if it's information that's not found in whatever manual, or you can put articles in there or anything like that. Any resource that you provide in there, if it's not found in there, it'll just let you know this information is not found in here. But based off from the information that we do have from whatever resources you've provided, these might be some things that you might want to look into, which is really interesting. And afterwards, I can show you a notebook as well. It's just something new that I had discovered just based off from a presentation that was done about 2 weeks ago, actually. Um, And then other ways I've been using AI tools, drafting email templates. So I'm not sure if you all are aware. This is something that I recently found out. I'm sure some of my colleagues have been doing this way longer than me, but you can actually have templates within your email. You can save templates within your email so that, let's say I do a lot of referrals. So if I'm doing a referral to one of our programs, I can select the template, add the student to, whatever student I'm sending that email to, but it has all the needed information. So instead of me having to recreate that email over and over again, I have a template that I can use, and then I can just share with that student. Because oftentimes referrals, I'm drafting pretty similar emails. But oftentimes I'm going back to AI Gemini to say, okay, help me make this sound better. So I'm drafting what I typically would want to send, and I'm seeing if Gemini can provide maybe a more polished email that I might take pieces of and include in my email template that I use. Getting quick or bulleted information from resources. So I had put together a recipe booklet, and what I was doing was I was using recipes from recipes I found online, and oftentimes I was trying to get all of the ingredients or all of the directions for a recipe into like 1/2-page paper, and it took a lot of time to do that. So what I did was I took that website address, I put it into Gemini. I said, give me 5 to 6 bullets. It needs to fit on a 1/2 sheet of paper, but instructions on how to make this recipe. And it was great. I wish I had started doing that way sooner. I probably did that the last few weeks of me creating this recipe guidebook, but it saved a lot of time. What I also did too is I recognized that I could take resources from a website. So I take resources, like I take a website and I'd want to pull out 5 or 6 bullets that I'd like to share with students. Rather than me reading through the entire article, pulling those bullets out and then citing my resource, I was able to go into Gemini, say, this is the article that I have. Give me 4 to 5 bullets of information that would be helpful or useful for college students. And it was able to give me some really good bullets that I was able to share in email. And because I was only using that one resource, I didn't have to go back through and search, okay, where did that come from? I was actually able to cite, okay, this information came from this resource here. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use AI. Sometimes I get fixated on like, oh, I'm only using it for this. But think about your everyday life, recipes that you do or information that you need at a glance. They can really speed up some of those processes. And also I used AI to help me draft this PowerPoint presentation. So a lot of this, what I essentially did, and I think I can show you on the side. Is it going to show? Maybe not. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So you can see it's funny because Canva now has like an AI companion. And so essentially what I did was I said, I want to use this template, but I want to create a presentation. I put what my presentation was about, how long it was going to be, and it gave me an outline. And then I said, that's great, but please put it into, please create a PowerPoint using this. And then I also inputted our coverage manual, knowing that that was going to be the basis of our framework for this presentation. I told it a little bit more information. I continued to guide it. And it took more tweaks, but it allowed me to kind of create this. Now, obviously, I didn't use what was created by AI fully. There was a lot of slides that I actually fully changed. But it allowed me to take the time so that I didn't have to make sure the graphics were, where they needed to be. It gave me an outline of what I could include, and then I just changed the bullets to meet what I really wanted to present today. And so some of my takeaways and what might work for you, start small. Small, manageable documentation tasks, or even things that you enjoy doing at home. Find small ways that you can just test the waters, add information, and then remember that your initial information that you give is not always going to be your final product. You're going to have to continue to feed it information and take what you need from it. Just because it presents you something doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to want to use, but you can always use what it provides as a template or a guide or providing more information. Use good judgment too. So oftentimes AI, you always want to double check. It's still a new tool. And remember, this is just a tool. So sometimes the information isn't always accurate, or at least not always accurate for what you're doing or what you need. So oftentimes it requires reviewing what it's giving out, making sure that it's actually what you need, making adjustments, and sometimes even having second eyes on this. Actually, for this presentation, I had Patty look it over. There were even a couple spelling errors that she helped me catch that AI did not catch. I was a little disappointed in that. Continue to communicate, but build your skills gradually. Play around with the tools. There's a lot of different tools that you can use, and a lot of different ways that you can learn more about the tools as well. So if you ever get an opportunity to do a workshop like you are today, just finding ways to use the tools in a different way. And so I know we are about out of time. I wanted to check in with all of you. Do you have experience working with AI? How much experience have you had, or what do you use AI for? And or do you have any questions from what I've presented today?
I'm Amanda Odin. I'm the help desk coordinator at CTS, and everything that you've been talking about is certainly things that are on my mind as we're developing our guide and how to's. It certainly reflects on the value and quality of our work and being able to answer questions quickly and efficiently, and also provide responses that reflect how AI is fully integrated in how we can expand that. And I also do use Gemini for the same things. I don't have much to add other than I do the same thing.
I appreciate that. I always like to hear like other people's experience using these tools and how long they've been using the tools and what they've been using the tools for. Like I said, as my presentation had mentioned, I consider myself a novice with these tools, but I have certainly appreciated being able to use and access them. Well, thank you all. And I will be available for questions or to chat a little bit after this, but I really appreciate you all coming and listening to me as I talk about my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
Yeah.
We are going to break now for lunch. I believe it's right outside the hallway, so I think they're gonna come in and
Thank you
get
so
set up.
much.
So in just a few minutes, we'll have lunch, and for our online folks, we are going to resume back online at 1 o'clock. Thank you.